We will go ahead and flash all the tools you need to Saab along with us today at the bottom of the screen, because today we will be swapping rear view mirrors for a Saab 9.5. We have a 2000 Saab 9.5 rear view mirror with the auto dim feature, and we will be replacing it with a upgraded rear view mirror from a 2003 with the auto dim, as well as the Homelink garage garage opener, and the compass. So it's a very simple upgrade for those of you with the 1999 to 2001 model, and also the one on our 2000 was audibly broken to where it wasn't staying in place to see out the back. Now we have our pins in the connector and on our 9-volt battery here. When the car is running, this will be a 12-volt source, but just for testing, we can use a 9. So let's go over to the mirror, and I don't have quite enough hands to juggle all this, but as soon as we touch the positive to the mirror, you can see we have I lost it there. We have a calibrating feature, and it will display the direction, which is very, very dim because this is 9-volt instead of 12, but we can see very clearly that it is working. Since this is going into a 1999 to 01 model, for whatever reason the plug on the mirror was the female end, and the plug still left in the car is the male. For whatever reason on the newer ones, they swapped that. So you can see here on this newer rear view mirror from a 2003, it has the male end, and there is a male end in the car of the 2000 that this is going into. So we need to swap the connections from the 2000 to the 2003 mirror. And it's pretty simple. All we're going to do is, if you look, I've already snapped this connector off. But this is the end that's in the car, and obviously these two will mate up. But you can see each connection, regardless of the year of the car it came from, it has the same number of wires. You have a red wire for positive, black for negative, and then as well as a green, blue, and gray wire. What those three do is, I'm not entirely sure, but we're going to make sure that when we snip this connection, that each wire is soldered appropriately. How you choose to make that switch is entirely up to you. Whichever way you think it should be is exactly the way it should be. Some people try to remove the pins from this connector, but what I did, just for simplicity's sake, was snip the old one. I'm going to snip the one on the new, and then solder the two together. Now we have each of the plugs separated and all the wires stripped. I have my heat shrink wrapping on the main wire, so that way once I've finished each joint I can slide both these over to help seal it up. Just close that off. Oh, my attempt at connecting that together. Not the prettiest thing, but what we're going to do is plug it in first and see if it works. What we're also going to do is show you, to those of you who don't know how to take the rear view mirror out, how we got this thing out in the first place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this in, I'm going to turn the car on, and see if my connections that I made hold up. Now, to reinstall this is just the same as removal. Since I didn't show you the removal, I'll just show you here. You have 3 T25 Torx bolts that are receipted into the mirror itself, and they will line up with these 3 holes in the actual roof of the car. So once it's up there, we just want to make sure it's still working and that all 3 screws are tight. I've got my wiring harness clipped back in and hidden as best as I can. So the next step is to reinstall our panel here. We have each microphone for the security brake system. We got the glass brake, we got one right here, this little square guy, and then the white one will clip into the back of this one. Once those are back in, we can hide our wires over here on this end, and this thing is ready to mount up. Some people just pull the little clips off these and leave the actual sensors in place. Whichever is easiest for you. For me, it was easier just to pull these out than unclip it right here. The only downside is you got to be careful when you're pulling these out not to break these plastic tabs, which happens all the time. Once that's all done, this panel, this whole piece, is held in by one, once again, T25 torque screw, and it goes right where the lamp is. Just get that right there. So when you're taking this thing off, it's just pop the lens off. You got 4 tabs. Once you get one side, the other side comes out pretty easily. Remove this one T25 screw, and then the tabs that you saw along this plastic piece just pop right up in there. So lastly is the diagnostic or troubleshooting. If you went and drove the car around and noticed that the compass was slightly off, like I did, you want to check to make sure that it is set to the correct zone. GM has a document that explains which zone is which. In this state, we are in zone 6, so it was initially set to zone 8, just being from the junkyard. So to pull up the zone, just simply hold the auto button, and it'll turn the mirror off, which is something handy if you ever want to toggle between mirror or the compass on and compass off. So let me just turn it back on here. And we're going to keep on holding until it flashes zone, which you can see there. And then just to switch between each zone, just toggle through. And zone 15, just based on the state that you're in. In this state, I want to make sure it ends up back on zone 6. And that helped with the discrepancy as far as the directions for me. I hope it helps for you. Thank you for watching the video, and safe sobbing, everybody.